First, we turn it over to Alex Hogan in D.C. with the latest on the Iran negotiations. Alex.
Good morning, Carly and Todd. So talks that future negotiations could be in the works are underway. So all of this changing hour by hour. But Vice President J.D. Vance says that the next move is still on the Iranians.
We've made clear where we're willing, again, to be accommodating, and we've made clear where we absolutely need to see the nuclear material come out of the country of Iran. I think the team that was there was unable to cut a deal, and they had to go back to Tehran, either from the supreme leader or somebody else, and actually get approval to the terms that we had set. Whether we ultimately get to a deal, I really think the ball is in the Iranian court because we put a lot on the table.
President Donald Trump says the U.S. blockade of the Strait of Hormuz is underway. Pakistan now reportedly proposing of hosting a new round of talks in Islamabad. Some sources telling Reuters that those talks could resume as early as the end of this week. The White House says those non-negotiables that are on their best and final offer, well, those still stand.
Iran will not have a nuclear weapon. And we agreed to a lot of things, but they didn't agree to that. And I think they will agree to it. I'm almost sure of it. In fact, I am sure of it. If they don't agree, there's no deal. We can't let a country blackmail or extort the world, because that's what they're doing. They're really blackmailing the world. We're not going to let that happen.
The UK and France are set to co-host talks this week. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer calling it a multinational plan to safeguard shipping whenever this conflict ends. Carly, Todd, back to you.
All right, Alex Hogan live for us in Washington. Alex, thank you. Let's bring in former NSC Chief of Staff under President Trump, Alex Gray. Alex, good to see you. So, as Alex just said, second round of negotiations reportedly in the works right now. And President Trump said that Iran wants to make a deal very badly. Here is how Vice President J.D. Vance detailed to Brett Baier on the past round of negotiations over this weekend and what they entailed. Listen.
I wouldn't just say that things went wrong. I also think things went right. We made a lot of progress, but we also made very clear, and I think this is part of the progress we made, what the terms where the United States could make some accommodation, what terms we were flexible on. In order for Iran to be a normal country economically, it's going to have to be a normal country from the perspective of not pursuing a nuclear weapon, and it's going to have to be a normal country from not pursuing terrorism. And so there really is, I think, a grand deal to be had here, but it's up to the Iranians, I think, to take the next step.
Do you think there is a chance this could end in a diplomatic resolution?
Well, Carly, good to see you. It always ends at the diplomatic table. That's how these conflicts end. And I do think there is a solution here. But as the vice president said, it requires the Iranian regime to act like something that it has not acted like for 47 years, which is a normal country that is interested in the interests of its people and the interests of the region rather than in a radical expansionist ideology. And that's what the United States is attempting to get the mullahs to behave like. And I think with enough diplomatic and economic pressure, I do think the vice president's absolutely right. We will hopefully settle this at the diplomatic table like all conflicts ultimately end.
What did you think about the vice president saying that part of the problem over the weekend was that the team of people that Iran sent to negotiate didn't have final say over being able to strike a deal or make a decision? Does raise some questions over who exactly is in charge.
Well, I think that's been part of the problem, even getting a ceasefire. I think we have consistently seen as the Iranian leadership has been eliminated kind of one by one by Israel, particularly over the last couple of months, you have seen a difficult time with the command and control structure, even finding interlocutors who the United States is confident have the ability to follow through on the things they say they're going to do. And so this is absolutely a challenge. And I think not only that, but the Iranian negotiating style that we've seen for decades is always about buying time, leading the other party on, and trying to take as much time as humanly possible in order to get their goals accomplished.
Yeah, and the red lines the vice president made very clear have to do with everything related to nuclear, being able to obtain the already enriched uranium, and also vowing by Iran to never make a nuclear weapon again. So far, no commitments from Iran on that front.
Yeah, no commitments. And look, I used to have this conversation with people when I worked for President Trump the first time. People would say, well, the president, is he really that adamant about Iran not getting a nuclear weapon? The president has said, going back to the Obama administration, when he was a private citizen, that it was a non-negotiable for Iran to have a nuclear weapon. This is something that he has been so clear on for over a decade. And so absolutely, there is no doubt that the president is going to make sure, as one of his going-in assumptions, the president's not going to ever allow Iran to be a nuclear table, to be at the nuclear table. You cannot trust a regime that is that ideologically motivated and radical to have the most powerful and destructive weapons on the planet.
Yeah, and then according to the Wall Street Journal, Alex, one estimate, the U.S. blockade of the Strait of Hormuz will cost Iran approximately $435 million a day, including $226 million in lost exports, mostly of crude oil and petrochemicals. I mean, this is when the military might meets the economic element of this story. And while Iran is radicalized, money does talk. So which one ends up winning when all is said and done?
Well, I think we've already won on the military side. We've accomplished our operational objectives. Economically, you see estimates of up to $500 million a day in losses. And there's something else that people need to realize. The Iranians have a limited ability. If they don't start exporting their oil within about 2 weeks, they're going to see structural damage to their oil capacity because the oil is piling up and it's having a corrosive effect on the storage tanks that the oil is kept in. So in 13 to 14 days, if they can't start getting their oil out, you have a permanent decapitation of the Iranian oil industry, and that is going to be catastrophic economically for them. So for structural reasons, you're going to see economic pain delivered to the Iranians in about 2 weeks that I don't think they're going to be able to withstand.
Former NSC Chief of Staff under President Trump, Alex Gray, we thank you so much for your expertise and your time, as always.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.